Hello, and welcome to the Race, Wealth, and Health Podcast, a podcast that serves to educate and empower while we explore the intersections of social justice, economic empowerment, and holistic well-being within communities of color. I am your host, Dr. Joycelyn Morris, and I invite you to join me as we dive deep into the crucial topics that shape our lives, challenge the status quo, and strive for a more equitable future for all. This week, we're back with Mark Payne as he unveils additional fitness myths and tips for health and wellness. Let's tune in. Got it. Okay. Now that makes a lot of sense. I think to continue the conversation around cardio versus strength. So that also for me comes up with the idea of fat loss versus muscle building. And is it possible for someone to both lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, or are we typically having to give up one versus the other when it comes to exercise?
Typically having to give up one versus the other. It's easier to make the environment conducive to one thing than to two things. Unless you have the time and the space for it, you can train twice a day and you can have all your meals prepped and count everything and do it. But most people are not like that. We're just talking about regular people. Then it really just comes down to executing.
So let's say, for example, my focus was, let's say it's losing fat, right? Because I'm assuming where you're getting as exercises to lose fat will look a little bit different than those to necessarily build muscle, or maybe there could be some interim, but like, what would that look like? Trade-off be.
The trade-off for either or is, okay, if you think about exercise in just, let's just say two main ways, there's a lot of different applications, but you can get stronger, right? You can actually get stronger. That means that you're able to either recruit more muscle or you're actually putting more muscle fibers onto this muscle. So it goes from 10 to 12 to 15, or you're able to recruit all 10 and not just 6 or 7. Okay. So a lot of people, that's a big conversation there is like, I have 10, I only have access to 6, but I'm trying to get stronger. You need access to all 10 before then you can actually get 11, 12, 13, 14 more to put on this. Okay. So we need access to the actual muscle. And then the other way is basically like having a greater effect on your metabolism, but not really your strength. You're going to gain some strength if you focus on your metabolism, but it's just not the same thing. It is not the same way that you go about this because weight loss, lifting weights, if you will, is more so about increasing the overall metabolic rate and how much tissues that you can have being responsible for your movement, keeping it safe. This over here is loading this tissue as much as humanly possible while also holding really, really good form. If you only work on your metabolism, and then the muscles that you are using here will only have the capacity that they can't get bigger to then be able to produce more over in my metabolism phase. So I'll give you an example. I want to lose fat, so I need to do fat loss workouts. Yes, but if you never do strength workouts and actually commit to building strength, then your numbers and your progressions inside of your metabolism based workouts will never be able to progress because you're not getting stronger. You're just getting more of those adaptations that are only inside of this type of training versus the adaptations that are only inside of this training. And these two types of training, they do not cross over because they're so far away from each other. Now, there is a healthy, gray medium where it goes from this type of working on your metabolism, higher rep ranges, more tissues and body parts involved, less exercises, less sets, to like this muscle building, a little bit of fat, and then more into like just straight strength with a lot of rest and a lot of tension as well. So it is a matter of, yes, what your goal is, but no matter if the person's trying to lose fat or gain muscle, they do both. They literally do both. Most people just haven't been introduced to their variation of intense training, the optimal variation for them. Like, cause you don't need to do 1 rep maxes over here. My general population ladies are doing no less than 6, right? And then over on the metabolism side, I mean, you can go 20 plus with legs and stuff like that. Easy. So if I'm asking you 6 ain't that heavy. Six is not that heavy. 2 is heavy. 1 is the heaviest. So I'm asking for 6 over here so that when you get back to this, the 20 is going to be easier and then it's going to get heavier and then you're going to be able to do more. You're going to be able to, with better execution, that's more load over here because you spent some time over here. So
Okay.
training is like seasons. We should have seasons inside of training. When I've been training, this is me personally and for clients, when you've been training hard for X amount of weeks, you need a break. Your joints need a break. Your ligaments need a break. Your tendons need a break. Your nervous system needs a break. And whether you have been taking calories away or giving more calories, you need a break from either of those. That means if I've been eating too many calories and trying to gain weight, I need to break off of that and try to eat less and or go back to my maintenance for a while so that I can have all systems working properly. So they are not only doing one thing, and the same thing for weight loss. That's why you have diet breaks and things of that nature, is to reset those hormones so that they can still stay at an optimal level. It's almost like, drinking coffee every day. You drink coffee every day, eventually you're going to need more coffee.
Right.
And then if you
No,
back,
I was gonna say that makes sense. I wanted to just clarify very briefly the metabolism phase you were saying. So that is more so when we think about fat loss, right? And so when you say metabolism, like what are the goals in that phase of fitness? Is it to rev up the metabolism? Like,
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So metabolism, just the definition would be the processes that basically keep you alive. The chemical and the physical processes that keep us alive. That's the easiest conversation piece that I can give to someone, because if you say rev it up or cut it down,
mhm,
it is the processes, the chemical and the physical processes in which keep you alive. So do you want to cut those processes up? If you want to turn those processes up, it's going to require you to turn everything up, not just one thing. Meaning, I'm trying to increase my metabolism. Cool. Let me increase my exercise. Excellent. Good job. And let me decrease my food. Well, where you want to increase metabolism? Yes, I want to increase my metabolism, so I'm going to decrease my food. But increasing your metabolism is increasing the processes, the physical and the chemical processes that it takes to keep you alive. So if you eat more, it takes more to keep you alive, keep those processes going. That would be increasing your metabolism. So if we understand what metabolism is and the play on it that we have to increase it, if you will, or build it, would be increasing your exercise. Everybody does that. Go run, jump, swim, play, walk around the corner. Man, I lost some weight. I ain't moved in 6 months. Cool. You just increased the physical. Now the body needs to adapt because you just went out and took
mhm,
about 2 mile walk. It has to get better. It has to.
right.
Or the food. Like, hold up. So the food, right. But if my activity does not match my food, then that food is not going to be used the same way. So that does not mean increase your calories and go walking and then expect to continue to lose weight, because that's only one specific type of exercise at a very low intensity. So because it is low intensity, I need high duration. That means if I do anything where I can talk, I need hours of it a week, hours. If I can talk, I need hours, at least 2 to 3 for most people who are 30% body fat or more. If it's under that, then you can get into some, more of that type of breathing. And that's how I conversation it with clients as well too. It's not even about, like, sometimes it's not even about the 135 and stay there. Don't go past 140 and stay between 140. Is, are you breathing? Like, cool. Keep that going for 20 minutes. Keep that. Okay,
Mhm,
cool. All right, 2 weeks. No, that's way too easy. Cool. It's too easy because we gain cardio adaptations quicker than we gain strength, but we keep strength for longer, but it takes longer to get. I'll say it one more time. Cardio gains, the adaptations and the benefits from walking outside, because I have not done anything, you get those really, really quick. That's why people love it. They get this cardio endorphin high. They go after it every single day. But eventually you'll get that adaptation and you have to do more,
yep,
or you have to go harder. So you
absolutely.
either got to run, go move your body faster, or do more. And those are your only two choices for the most part, for generally speaking. So I'm gonna go from 2 miles to 5 to 10 to 12 to 15. All right, where does this? It doesn't. But I can't run because my knees. Uh, there's an assault bike over here. There's a row machine. But I don't want to go to the gym.
Right. Right. I mean, that makes sense. And honestly, I can say personally, I experienced it. I think when I first graduated from college, I saw those changes, like just because I moved to New York. So, of course, going from Florida, where we drive everywhere, moving to New York, where you walk everywhere. And then I joined a gym. Like, I saw significant changes until, to your point, my body adapted to those changes and that was the norm now. Walking X amount of steps per day was now the norm. It was no longer a stressor on my body. Then I had to figure other things out. And it always definitely came down to better nutrition, but even physically, I'd have to try and figure other things out. While we're talking about metabolism, one thing I want to ask you, like a lot of times people think about kind of like building your metabolism and losing weight. What is the relationship between metabolism and weight loss?
The more efficient that it is, the easier that it is for your body to listen to what you're trying to tell it to do.
Mm,
So the more efficient that your metabolism is processing those things to keep you alive, the more efficient that it is, then the easier or the more likely that it is for your body to listen to what you're telling it to do. Because what I am telling it to do when I do cardio is most people is to lose fat. Like I'm telling my body to use this fat and burn it, oxidize it, go put it somewhere else, just get it off of me.
right.
When I'm lifting weights, I'm doing the same thing. You think a dude is over there doing curls saying don't grow? He's talking to his muscles. He's like, come on, bro. You got to do girls the same exact way, working on their legs. The same thing. That's why you chase the pump. Like we chase the pump. Everybody loves the pump. Like who doesn't love a good, if you've never worked out before, then maybe not. But once you start working out and you feel a really good physical pump in those muscles and that endorphin rush, either a combination of those two, then that's what you chase because the pump makes this bigger. I want this to be bigger.
Right.
That means I need to get a pump. If I'm not getting a pump, that means that I'm not getting bigger. That's not true, but that's just what we see. So, and I think dude in the gym, man, he's pumped up. He's huge. And when he leaves the gym, he looks like two sizes smaller than that. It's just a matter of fluids and stuff and more blood going into the muscles to make them look like that. Where other guys, they haven't even worked out yet. And you're like, dang, bro, like you got it layered on there. It's because that's a different type of muscle. It's actual muscle tissue that is making the shape of that muscle that way, not muscle this way. And then fluids get in there and then they look like this. So that's where you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see them in there. You see dudes that you don't, they look regular when they walk in. When they walk out, you're like, dang, homie. I had somebody ask me one time inside of a consultation, it's like, how do I keep the pump? I'm like, I don't have that answer, man. Like it's hopefully gonna last so long. He's like, I know, but I feel so. I'm like, I know, bro. So just go do it every day. You can get a little bit every day.
That's true.
Um, but metabolism, to your point, the way that works with weight loss, if I make it more efficient by becoming more cardiovascularly healthy, increasing my VO2 max, or having my cardio system be robust and diversified as well too. So not only one type of cardio, a few types of cardio to diversify the exposure that I am allowing my heart to be exposed to. Because if I'm only doing things where, once again, I can talk, I'm not challenging myself enough to get an
Mhm.
adaptation that I'm really telling my body to use. When you start to breathe, when you start to actually, resuscitate or whatever they say, or get that sound going, whatever that means, that means good stuff is happening. It's the same way with your weight training as well too. When your weights are moving slow because the weight is heavy, you are building true strength and possibly some muscle as well. When your weights are moving slow because they're light and you're controlling them up until a certain point, you could do the same exact thing. So I have a lighter weight, I'm controlling it. It's light is a relative term too, right? So whatever that means
Like
for
for
that
me,
person.
creamy.
Exactly. Which is a whole other conversation too, because most people's light is just way too light. It's way too light. Because if I say 10, and somebody does an exercise for 10 reps, they say that's heavy, but they could have did more weight and or more reps. Like you didn't get out of that 10 and there wasn't nothing left. You tell
Right.
there's nothing left. Did you have two? Okay, cool. So it wasn't that heavy. That's where that pushing yourself inside of conditioning to get that capacity to be able to push yourself. That's where that comes into play. But to the play of you getting stronger and increasing your metabolism, weight training and or moving your body is going to be the one way that we can do it with physical activity. And that's how you
Mhm.
increase your metabolism. But we need to diversify. So if I'm trying to grow muscle, me doing yoga can definitely help me increase my metabolism because these muscles and these positions are moving more efficiently, if you will. Like they can
Yeah.
move across the joints more efficiently. I can breathe more efficiently.
Yeah.
And then cardio, the same exact place. So I need both to increase my metabolism to make it work more efficient.
So one little last point of metabolism before we chat into a few other things, but I recently had a conversation with a friend about this. I think we talk about ways to increase metabolism, and I'm thinking along the ideas of what you mentioned in terms of rest or just giving yourself breaks around dieting. I've heard that sometimes excessive and continuous dieting can also, for lack of better words, ruin or make our metabolism less efficient. And I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that because we talk about how we can build metabolism, but what are some things that we could maybe can be doing that are also decreasing our metabolism?
So that is very true. Maintenance is the easiest thing for your body to do. Just the main thing. That's the easiest. Like maintenance is just hanging on to what you got, right? So maintenance is always going to be the easiest thing because that's your body's easy place, homeostasis, it's comfortable, a set point, whatever you want to call it, it's zero. And zero is very easy. You take calories away, it's going to be harder. If you tell me to take in more calories, that's also going to be harder. So
Mhm.
that's why at the end of the day, with whomever the conversation is, what's that maintenance? Because if I know where your maintenance is, then I can ship you on where to go depending upon where you're at. And obviously, it depends on the quality of those calories. But if we're just talking about a calorie number, where's your maintenance at? If I have a female, two female, 35-year-old, 170, 30+% body fat, and one has 1,700 calories as her maintenance, and the other has 1,200 calories as her maintenance, that one at 17 has higher calories. She's probably going to lose weight first because she has more calories to pull from. So if you
Mhm.
have 1,200 maintenance calories, you want to be able to optimally build it up because if you get your maintenance to anything higher than what it is, when you put yourself in deficit, you lose weight. So if I'm at 1,200 and I'm not losing weight and I put myself into an 800 or 900 calorie deficit, I am asking the body to do the same things inside of my day, more than likely. I'm not like moving slower to use less energy throughout the day because I'm in a calorie deficit. So asking the body to do the same exact thing with less. Oh, don't forget you got to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week too. That's more. Then if you don't get enough sleep, that's also more. And so I'm eating. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to that point, I mean, I feel like what I'm hearing because I think this is an important conversation and as someone, admittedly who has sort of yo-yoed, if you will, with my weight, and I mean more drastically. Now I'm probably mostly in maintenance, and that's even something hopefully for our listeners to understand too. Like even in maintenance, my weight fluctuates up and down within a
Mhm.
range, but
Mhm.
I'm not yo-yoing. I wonder if with the metabolism, is it how often or the importance of going to your point of having phases, right? So I know someone was talking about like in a cutting or shredding phase, but then also then going back to maintenance phase so that you don't put your body into this place where the metabolism isn't working. You're eating so few calories because you're not even just letting your body kind of rest or reset from other phases. I think you and I even talked. I was like, this summer I was tired. I want to take some breaks from going hard at some of the higher intensity workouts. And I've been focusing a bit more on adding in some lower intensity and more mobility type workouts. How does that play into metabolism in terms of like phases of eating as well as working out and what should a phase look like? How often should someone be returning to a maintenance phase in order to continue to see gains?
Yep. I think that's cool that you touch on that because you kind of get your own program down until you either work with someone who can pinpoint it better for you
Mm.
or you just stop doing it. So what that means is eventually you're gonna hit a wall. I could have forecasted that wall for you, or you're just gonna hit that wall either way, and then you're gonna figure out what to do when you get there. So when you figure out what to do when you get there, it's probably rest. But then we tell ourselves that I worked so hard to get here. Why would I rest? And then what do I do while I rest? What actually is resting? How should my nutrition change when I rest
Yes.
versus when I don't rest? So it's this big, once again, it's a prescription, like there's so many prescriptions out here. And I like to think of it as listen to your body. Yes, I probably think that's probably one of the most, underrated statements as far as like just being a human and trying to do this health and fitness thing. Like hunger cues and I smell something, I want something, or I don't smell this and I want something, or this or that, or but in the grand scheme of things of having the phases work with and the nutrition, it's just like seasons. You can try to think about them like that. During the winter, are you going to be, let's say that you live somewhere where you have 4 seasons. Let's just say that, right?
Because we don't in
And
South Florida. Go
I
ahead.
know we don't in South Florida. Thank goodness. Let's say you go into the winter, you're going to be doing different things in the winter than you are in any other season, and
Right.
respectively for all other seasons. So if you treat your lifting weights or your exercises like that, you're going to be going hard at a certain point in the year. So let me look at my calendar. Let me look at my seasons for what I do for work. And what is my schedule like as far as the seasons go, and how much of myself do I need to be involved in what I'm doing so that I
Mhm.
can forecast on how to actually set my year up, because that's really going to give me the maximum benefits from everything that I'm doing, because I know during the summer I'm slow. So why am I trying to go hard when I'm going hard at work? Unless you work like that. Some people do. Some people are like, no, I want to go hard for everything. And when I rest, I want to rest for everything. So it's kind
Yeah.
of right, right. So it's kind of understanding like your
Yeah.
year, your work, and when you can actually put more time towards it. I know a lot of teachers. They try to get it together in the summer.
Yep.
They try to get it together in the summer because once school starts, I'm in the gym twice a week. That's
Mhm.
it for the next 8 months straight. So I need to establish something in my June, July, my part of August, to then give me something to roll into. We all have our seasons. So working with your season and understand that when you need a break, you can still get a lot of really good benefits from other training modalities like mobility, flexibility, more mindful eating, finding a different activity outside of actual lifting weights as well too. But as soon as I am to the point, I can feel it. I can give anyone the cues of when they are feeling it. You are less motivated. You don't feel like doing anything. I've been there. I was just there a few weeks ago and I was like, why do I feel like this? I was like, oh yeah, I've been smashing myself the past 6 weeks. Probably need a break. Cool. You are not motivated. You really don't want to do anything
Mm.
physical fitness related to how you got there.
Yeah.
Appetite could drastically increase and or decrease. Either one. You can get a really big kick on the appetite. You can be like, man, I don't even want to chew anything. Like I want all shakes. And probably the easiest one is your body hurt. Like you hurt for
Yeah.
real. And not the muscle hurt, like the bone joint in the inside, deep down, wake up in the morning, like
You're just
that kind of
aching.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a break, and or what you did is too much. Prescription dose, right? Prescription
Mhm.
of exercise, too many reps, too many sets, too much volume. The way you paired the exercises, your hips didn't like that because your hips like this movement, but you did this movement and some curtsy side to side lunges. Now your inside joint is all jacked up. And then you sleep with this leg over with it every time.
Right.
And you always cook with this hand
Right.
don't even know how to do
You don't
this.
know.
Like you
Yeah.
just, yeah. So all those things come into place. I love what I do because I can literally look at your 6 months or look at your year and be like, okay, cool. This is your season for this. All right, we need to focus on this. Pull those calories back because you're going to be in a really good spot because you're not going to be stressed. So that's a really good place for that. We can put a little bit more training volume here.
Mhm.
After about 3 or 4 weeks, you travel, we pull back on that. Take these foods out while you're traveling and put these foods in. Make sure to take these supplements with you. And then when you get back these 3 or 4 weeks, we hit it hard again. Change this while you're here and you're good to go. And then once you get that rhythm down, you get new set points every X amount of time. A set point is like your maintenance where you're at right now. It's
Right.
a set point. You've been sitting there for however long, doesn't matter. As long as it's more than 4 to 6 weeks, it's probably set. So you get new set points. Sometimes your set points go like this and then they jump up and then they go like this. But most of the time, if you're doing it properly, it'll just trend down. And that's really where you want it to be, is if that's your goal, is continuously a trend and not sit in anything for too long unless you are, you know, messing with the blueprints and getting the whole process better in the midst of your maintenance, like learning some really cool things about your habits, about your routines, about your mindset, getting your gym routine down, getting your sleep
Mhm.
routine, your work, so that when this season comes up, we put more into it. I've been in maintenance for 12, 18, 24, 36 months, doesn't matter because I'm ready for the season. It's about to come up and I'm going to kill it. Boom, 8 weeks, give me some really good gains, 6 weeks, however long it is. And then chill for a week or two, deload, do some yoga, do some this, breath work, cut those carbs down, increase that protein. Boom, go kill it again for another. Oh, I got vacation. Cool. I've been killing it. I can chill now. You just have way more control and you're more resilient. Like I said, like
Right.
you can eat more freely. You can live more freely. You understand how to work with your alcohol. You know which alcohol works for you. You know when to have it. You would know when not to have it.
Right.
You know what to do before you drink, during you drink, and after you drink. You know the foods to eat while you're doing it as well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just have more confidence for everything that you're doing because it's like, anywhere you go, wherever, you already know what you're going off the menu.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And as we round out the conversation around some myths, some of it was just really good information to keep in mind. I think there's no better place to round out this conversation is around rest. And so I've had several guests on where we talked about the idea of rest for mindfulness, the idea of rest for just being able to be present to even think about what kind of changes and things that you want to make. And I think in a society and a culture, we see it all the time. No days off and this and that. It's grind culture, right? What does rest look like in terms of I think there is physical rest, right? In terms of sleep quality. And we probably should talk about that because that greatly contributes to our body's ability to lose weight in terms of my limited research and understanding. But then also, like, what should rest days look like? And I'm asking for myself, not for a friend, because I do struggle with what should be the appropriate amount of rest days, but then also when should those rest days be a part of my workout regimen?
I think that if you don't work out hard enough, you're only resting because people say you should. Some people don't, honestly, some people don't feel like that they need to rest, which is completely fine. As from a mental standpoint, and if we're talking about mental health of all individuals, absolutely, 100%. But it's all about that dose, that prescription, and then what my outcome is from that prescription. Because if I'm sick and I go to the doctor, he's gonna give me a dose. He's gonna give me a prescription. He's gonna give me a dose. Once he gives me that dose, I expect to be feeling pretty good in the next like 3, 4, 5 week max, or like Z pack 10 days max. So same thing for your rest. It is the prescription is what it is. It is rest. But what is that? That depends upon the person and what their overall activity looks like for the entire week. Meaning that rest could be, it could be a low intensity class. It could be a yoga. It could be a stretch and balance. It could be any type of like very, breath work, Pilates type of work. And intensity wise, it really just comes down to like heart rate. If you want to put something objective on it,
Okay.
it could get you, if you want to talk about zones, you could definitely be in zone 3 if you're in a healthy spot. So like a little bit more of an elevated heart rate, like huffing and puffing a little bit more. But I would categorize it as understanding where you're sore, why you're sore, how you're sore, and how can you maximize your rest day to set you up on your other days. So if you're not going to be exercising, that's about 1 to 2 hours that you get back to yourself. What are you going to do with those? Then maximize those other days. Let's say my rest day is on Wednesday because I like to go hard 2 days, take a break. I'm gonna do a little bit of meal prep on Wednesday because I did some on Sunday, and I don't really like to eat food I cook on Sunday on Friday. So I'm gonna take a little midweek break, and I'm gonna cook a little bit on Wednesday. Make like a pound or two of stuff. Get some stuff prepped, and I am not going to do anything today because I'm super busy with work. And to be honest, I can use a break from the gym. The other part of that is need to go to the gym. I need a rest day. Okay, cool. Let's focus on some things that can basically tie you in to what you're already doing inside the gym. That means movements and or preparations or anything that you know that can feed into your program to make it more efficient. So this could be a good time for single joint activities like single leg exercises and or single arm exercises, any type of core work, meaning rotational core work, stability in a plank and or some type of, I'm sorry, in this way as well. But I like to do lower level movements. We call it an active rest day, yes, but it's a high performance recovery day. So this high performance recovery day still keeps me in the groove of everything that I'm doing. I have a warm up, I have movement specific things. And then if it's conditioning based, the brunt of my exercise are going to be conditioning. If it's strength based, I'm only doing 3 or 4 sets of one exercise, maybe two exercises. And that's to keep my volume of whatever my goal is up. So let's say I'm a lady and I want to build my lower body. My active rest day could 100% be one lower body movement for 3 to 4 sets. And if you understand how to do that and what to do while you're doing your high performance active rest days, that means limit certain things and do other things. You can then have a really good workout, do some conditioning, burn some calories or whatever, and still feed into those other days without doing too much.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I want to start with your first point, which was maybe people don't actually need rest. I brought it up because I just want to be clear, like it's whether or not your body really needs the rest versus whether you mentally think that you can take that rest. And I feel like we live in a culture that is also like push, 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 push. And sometimes if we're not taking the time to rest and recover, we're not getting as much gains as we could be by not being able to take that time because then we're not performing as well. And that next day, like you said, when it's time to go hard again, you're not really going hard. Or maybe sometimes the lack of rest is why, but also noting that recovery day, right? It can be active recovery day, which is also what I tend to like to call my rest days, right? Is active recovery days. I think that's great that you provided us some really good options of things that we can do and keep in mind in that space as we close out the conversation, wanted to know, like, what do you want? What is maybe one or two things that you want listeners to really take away from today's conversation as we kind of like myth busters, but also just give us some tips when it comes to thinking about health and fitness.
Cliche. I want to say this, and so figure out your why. Like, why are you
Mhm.
doing it? Like, sure,
Yeah.
for real, why are you? Why? I know exactly why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for a lot of selfish reasons, and I'm usually doing it for a lot of reasons that are way outside of myself, way outside of my family, way outside of my community. And I just challenge everyone to continue to educate from legitimate sources. I feel like there's all kinds of education out there. We all know that internet, da, 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 but it's from legitimate sources, and legitimate sources for me are people who have been doing it for X amount of time and or people who are extremely successful at least for double digit years. So somebody can be extremely successful. A trainer can come out and just kill it for 2, 3 years and you never hear of them again.
Right.
But someone who's been doing this for at least double digit years, and to take your information from someone who has been doing that or someone who that is actually what they do and that is their sole living, like that is their thing that they do. Like when you think of Mark, you think of fitness. You don't think of marketing, you think of insurance agent and then banker and then fitness, you think literally fitness. And I would also like people to continuously challenge other people for anything health and fitness related because there's so much information out there and what works for me might not work for you. We've all heard that.
Mhm.
But it's opening up that space as well too to be more accountable for what's not in the mirror and
Mhm.
what's in the mirror. And then really being like, have you actually put the work in? Have you actually eaten clean for like 2 weeks or something like that? And have you actually progressed in your workouts? Meaning outside of more weight, more sets, and more reps. Forget that. Better technique overall, better range of motion, understanding of how to do the movement properly for you, understanding your mechanics of your body, understanding how you do all the basic movements of squat, hinge, push, pull. We all just keep hearing these things because everyone does them all the time. So if I know that I have a client who is over 6 foot tall and he's a male and he doesn't have good mobility, I'm telling him to get some squat shoes. The reason why I'm telling him to get some squat shoes is because his mechanics are not built to squat. Do I need him to squat? Preferably. Does he want to squat? Yeah. You can't keep squatting in those chucks though, bro, because you're just not getting enough range of motion to adequately load all of the tissue and all of the non-contractile tissue, which is your ligaments and your tendons, but those things still need to be put in certain ranges for them to have extreme strength and be more resilient. So training in your extreme active ranges of motion and understanding what those are for your ankles, knees, your hips, your shoulders, elbows, and your wrists, and moving those things 1 to 2 times per week consistently and loaded. Because if they're not loaded to a certain point, then okay. If we're not loaded to a certain point, then we're not gonna get the maximum benefit from it. And food for me is it's more fun than it is anything else. Some people can say that if you don't like what you're doing, then you're not gonna do it for long. And I agree. Some people say that you shouldn't put too much work into your food either. I think you should put as much work into your food as you do into your workouts. Pretty much. But yeah, that's what it is for me, Josh. It's more so going for the people who are educated, who've been doing it for more than double digit years, challenging those people as well. And then I don't think that you can really say you've been in the trenches unless you've actually been in there before.
Right. And then just lastly, what are some like any recommendations of tools or resources that you recommend listeners, whether it's like books to read, podcasts, just to that point of
Um,
people to listen to or things to resources that will help them be more informed there.
Gosh, that one is kind of hard because all mine would be pretty biased to whom I listen to and get my information
And
from.
that's okay
But
because
I know. So what I will say to that is so to follow individuals who are doing what you want to be doing, exercise wise and nutrition, and who have either done it as well. The most important thing with understanding everything that we're doing with health and fitness is not only the information about where you're getting it, but how it is applied to. So the whole telephone limit thing. Hey, d- I need you to have your limit for this reason. Okay, cool. But you can also have your limit for this and this. And it's not only one thing. There's not one way to do this fitness thing. So once you figure out people to follow and they get really good results and then you try them for yourself, then we have built trust pretty much. But it's just more so for me, I guess the context of the conversation with whom you're talking about, because the people that I follow, someone could be like, I don't even want to know that stuff. So the communication of it coming from them might be unattractive, but their information is, but you're not going to be able to accept any of that if you can't understand their communication.
fair enough. And then lastly, how can listeners connect with you or follow you if you have any social links or websites or things that you would recommend if they want to stay
Yep.
connected?
I got one thing, Instagram right now. It'll be last name, Payne underscore NG. I'm in the process of getting the remote business more legitimized as far as clients on social media. Instagram will probably be the one that I put the most information on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today and giving us just all of these amazing tips um, and insight as it relates to thinking about health and fitness and sort of our physical health and how we might be able to optimize how we're approaching that strategy. So, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Race, Wealth, and Health podcast. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Joycelyn. I really had a blast.
Well, that's all for today, folks. Enjoyed the show? Be sure to like and rate the podcast. You can find the Race, Wealth, and Health podcast on multiple platforms, including Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. I also want to hear from you, so don't forget to connect with me on social media. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at Race Wealth Health. By joining the online community, you'll stay updated on the latest episodes, behind the scenes insights, and engaging discussions. Share your thoughts, comments, and questions there. I appreciate your support in sharing the podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues who may also find value in these conversations. Thank you again for joining me on this journey. Until next time, take care, stay informed, and keep up the good fight for equality.